What's up, guys? Back at you guys once again. And I'm here to discuss a video that was made by Boxing Beats and Rhymes. Um, that was a great video, man. That was a really good video. It's rare that I'll really sit there and watch, a 50-minute video or hour-long video on YouTube. But that was definitely worth every minute. It was a really good video and a well-researched video um, about this Floyd Mayweather topic. This debate that many guys have chimed in about on YouTube. Um, and it's a debate that I think BloodBoxing definitely led the charge in this debate. When he let his opinions be known on Floyd. And many people started coming out and talking about it. Um, so I'm just gonna address a couple of things. I'm gonna try not to make this a really long video, but I just want to honestly let my true opinions out on Floyd and kind of talk about both sides so I think people could really understand. Because honestly, I think there's an area where I feel like both sides are right, to be honest. And I'll let you know what my full opinion is on the situation and what I think, you know, the problem is where both sides are pretty much button heading. Because for me, it's clear as day to see, what the problem is, you know. And this is where it is. There is a thin line between love and hate. It's pretty cliche, but I think that's what it is. I think you have the people that love Mayweather who think that he can do no wrong. These people, I think, are convinced that he is the second coming of Jesus Christ and that he has the ability to walk on water. That's what one side thinks, okay? Then the other side thinks that he is the Antichrist. So this is pretty much where we're at right now as far as between this Floyd Mayweather debate. I feel like I said, you got on one side the people who love this guy and the other side people who hate this guy, and there's people who are in the middle. To be honest, I'm one of the people who are in the middle, and I'll explain to you why, okay? It's well documented, like I said in previous videos, that I had defended Mayweather on my old channels, and I've gone to the bat for Mayweather, talking about some of the things that he's done, defending some of the things that he's done. But let's not even really talk about his outside the ring issues. Let's just talk about inside the ring. Let's keep it boxing. Floyd Mayweather has always been one of my favorite fighters to watch. I'm a boxing fan. Point blank period. I'm a boxing fan. I watch old footage all the time and I watch these fighters today. So once again, I'm not really sure, in my opinion, obviously this is just personal opinion, how you can be a boxing fan and not like what you see in the ring from Floyd. I think we could pretty much establish that this guy is really good at boxing. Okay, I don't think we're really going to debate that. Okay? Now, like I said, I think the problem comes into play, you know, because of some of the things that Floyd has done in his career that people agree with and disagree with. Okay, on one side you have, a side on YouTube, a faction on YouTube who believes that Floyd is the greatest of all time. Okay, and I think this is what really sparked a lot of the controversy and a lot of the debate. A lot of people jumping Mayweather above a lot of people on all-time lists. Okay, my problem with that is that I feel like Floyd throughout his career hasn't answered all the questions. I feel like there's too many question marks that he's left unanswered in his career. Okay? Now there's people who will sit there and say, like I said, the people who are on the Floyd bandwagon or Floyd supporters, whatever you want to say, they will say that, at the lower weights, Floyd beat whoever was the guy at the time, whoever was the guy that he was supposed to beat at the time. He did that. And there's not really too many names that you could really throw out there who you could honestly say would really beat Floyd down there at those lower weights. And I could agree with that. I could say that, sure, there's a couple of fights we would have liked to have seen just from a fan's perspective that we didn't get to see. But let's be honest. I mean, down there at those lower weights, Floyd looked really well. He looked really good. And there's not too much you could really criticize him for down there as far as that's concerned. Okay? But also, due to the fact that he didn't really have the greatest competition down there, and that he wasn't able to fight any Hall of Famers down there at the lower weights, me personally, I don't understand how guys could just assume that he beats a guy like Roberto Duran at the lower weight class. How do we just assume that? How do we just assume that? Floyd still did have some difficult fights down there at the lower weight classes. Let's not act like he walked through everybody. Okay? A notable fight being Jose Luis Castillo. Alright? One of the main guys that people say Floyd lost to earlier in his career. Okay? So, whether you make the excuse of saying that he was hurt or he beat him the second time, whatever the case may be, on that night, it just wasn't his night in many people's opinion. Okay, so like I said, how do you just assume that this guy just beats a guy like Roberto Duran who dominated that weight class? I don't understand. That's just me. And that's once again where a lot of the problems come into play, because, here's the deal. Like I said, there's a group of people out there who thinks that Floyd just beats everybody. They assume that Floyd automatically beats a lot of these old fighters and fighters of today. But like Boxing Beats and Rhymes said, where is the evidence to say that he loses to those fighters or that he beats them? Where is really the evidence? All you really have is what we have seen. Okay, and like I said before in another video, on that night, I feel like Jose Luis Castillo won that fight, okay? And Jose Luis Castillo isn't a Hall of Famer, okay? He's just a good fighter. He was just a good fighter. So who's to say that Floyd can have a bad night against a lot of these guys? So what evidence do we have to believe that a guy like Floyd, would beat a lot of these all-time greats? Okay, what evidence do we have to believe that Floyd beats a lot of these all-time greats? And these Flomos are determined, and 100% sure that Floyd beats, all of these guys. That Floyd beats Pernell Whitaker. He beats Thomas Hearns. I've made this argument a million times. Floyd didn't even want to fight Tony Margarito. He didn't want to fight him. Let's just be honest. He didn't want to fight him for whatever reason. So how do we know that he would even take the challenge of fighting a guy like Thomas Hearns, let alone beat him? How do we know that? But the Flomos are 100% positive that Floyd beats those guys. And that's, to me, like I said, there's the line again. There's the line between guys who say, well, Floyd hasn't done enough for us to make this type of decision, and the other guys who are just 100% positive that Floyd is better than all of these all-time greats. Okay? This is what I say. And to be honest, I'll say something else. I've made a couple of my videos giving my opinions on Floyd. Obviously, my most recent videos, which, obviously a lot of people loved, a lot of people didn't like. But, I don't really care, of course. But the thing about those videos weren't even really directed to Floyd. They were directed to Flomos. They were directed to Flomos, to me, who needed to be called out. Flomos who were just becoming the mafia of YouTube and just making it impossible to have an opinion on Floyd. So I brought up some things like what Floyd has done outside the ring and all of the stuff that's well documented about Floyd. But to be honest, I don't care about that stuff. I really don't. I really don't care what Floyd does outside of the ring. That's my honest opinion. I really don't have time to really worry about it. I just brought up those things simply because that's how annoying some of the Flomos got, to where they thought that we didn't have freedom of speech, to criticize Floyd for what he was doing outside the ring when every other athlete gets a full magnifying glass put on them and everything and all their business is out there in the streets, but all of a sudden we should be hush-hush about Mayweather for whatever reason. So that's why that video was made. But, to be honest, I really don't care. At the end of the day, the guy's a good watch when it comes to boxing. But that being said, I feel like everything should be brought into perspective as far as how good is he? And he has left a lot to be desired. We don't know. We don't know why. My thing is, the biggest hole in Floyd's resume isn't what's there. Okay? The biggest hole in Floyd's resume isn't what's there. It's what's not there. That's what my issue with Floyd's resume is. Okay? Why all the inactivity? Why all the inactivity? That's where all the question marks are for me, because while you were inactive, there were many other welterweights coming on the scene. Okay? There are many other welterweights that were coming on the scene, okay? And even within these last couple of years, Floyd could have cleared out the welterweight picture. Okay? I'm not saying you have to fight every single welterweight in the division. I'm saying fight the big known, big name guys that people want to see you fight. You know, from a fan's perspective, Floyd has just robbed the fans of a lot of fights. Okay, even if we could just say, well, Floyd beats those guys. Once again, Floyd has robbed us of a lot of good fights. Okay, that we just didn't get to see. Okay, and like I said before, anybody could have an off night. Mayweather has shown that he is not invulnerable to having an off night. He's had off nights. Okay, so what makes you guys so positive that, you know, on one of his off nights, another star in the sport can't be on point and have a great night? I just don't understand why you guys fail to see that argument that he is beatable and that nobody is completely unbeatable. Like I said, this is coming from somebody who likes to see him fight, but the difference is I'm just not, I'm just not a Flomo. I mean, I'm sorry. That's the difference. That's the difference. So, like I said, I feel like I see both sides to the arguments here. And it's just one of those things that to some degree people are just gonna have to agree to disagree. Um, you know, so I mean, yeah, that's why I'm making this video, to just clarify what my opinion is on the whole situation. Like I said, I could look at it through objective eyes because sure, I like watching the guy fight, but I just don't think he walks on water. I don't think that he's perfect, and some of you guys refuse to acknowledge the fact that Floyd has been inactive, and different things like that, and refuse to see what other people's perspective is. That's my only real issue with Floyd, is that just that he's left a lot of question marks that are still unanswered out there. There's a lot of all-time greats that have struggled with fighters that maybe they shouldn't have struggled with, or have had classic battles with certain fighters. Do I really have to go through all the rivalries that were out there? And what would some of these all-time greats be if they never really got tested by some of these guys? Floyd Mayweather is coming off a fight in which he had a lot of issues with Miguel Cotto. He had a lot of issues with Miguel Cotto, all right? Miguel Cotto gave him a lot more problems than a lot of people thought that he was going to give Floyd Mayweather. You know? I don't think anybody really saw that coming. Okay, and that being said, once again, it just adds to the point of, okay, this man can be beat. He can be beat, but I don't think Floyd is really in any rush to go out there and try to find those type of fighters who are going to give him that type of test. I don't really think he's in any rush or has any priority in doing that. Okay, and that's because he's made millions of dollars. He's rich at this point. He's at the end of his career, and obviously he knows that there's a big section of his fan base that already thinks he's the greatest of all time. So in his mind, why does he even need to fight Pacquiao? Okay, see, so you guys to me are actually part of the problem. I think y'all are part of the reason to blame in the way that y'all have helped create Floyd, to where he feels like he doesn't owe us anything. He doesn't owe us anything as far as, challenging any of the real top guys out there, or being challenged himself, by some of the fighters out there. Okay? Like I said, I mean, why can't he fight some of these young fighters out there? Who's to say that on that given day a star can't be born? Things happen. This is boxing, where one punch changes a fight. You guys fail to realize that for whatever reason. One punch changes a fight. Okay? I don't know. Like I said, this is just my opinion. Which once again, all of these things are opinionated, but there are once again a group of people out there who think that what they say is fact. Okay? It's all opinion. But I mean, to me, the difference is that people just get butthurt when you talk about this subject. People just really get offended, which I don't see why, because I don't know how you have that much emotionally invested in another man. That's why people call some of y'all flomos. But I mean, that's just me. So like I said, Floyd is not above criticism. I feel like everybody has the right to put any athlete, whether they're of old or of now, under the microscope and analyze their career. Okay? And that's that's what a lot of people are saying. That's all people are saying, okay? Um, and let's be clear when people say clean out a division, let me be clear about what I mean by clean out a division, okay? No one's sitting there saying that you have to fight every single name in a division, okay? Some of you Flomos try to sit there and say, oh, well, is he going to fight all these no-name fighters for no money? Please, let's be serious about this, okay? There's fighters with big names who are well-known fighters who are guys that Floyd could fight. Okay, are we gonna sit there and pretend like Floyd can't fight the winner of Andre Berto and Robert Guerrero? That Floyd can't fight Timothy Bradley, or, who came off of a win over Manny Pacquiao, who many people wanted him to fight. Okay, so let's not act like there's not names out there for him to fight. Let's not act like people wouldn't mind seeing a guy like Danny Garcia if he moved up to welterweight fight, Floyd Mayweather, or a guy like Kell Brook. There's names out there who Floyd can fight and still get paid. Okay, let's not act like he's like money is an issue for Floyd Mayweather. I don't think that's really a big issue. And actually, if Floyd really believes what he says, which is that the money is more important than his legacy, then I would think Floyd would be fighting more, wouldn't you? I would think Floyd would be really fighting a lot more, and he would have no problem fighting guys like Canelo and some of these big name guys out there on a Mexican holiday. Why not? If all you care about is money and you don't really care about your legacy, why wouldn't you take the risk and do it? Okay, so once again, just, another thing that just raises my eyebrow and says, hey, what's really going on in the head of Mayweather? How important is that zero of his? Okay? And like I said before, to me, inactivity is a form of ducking. If you're not around fighting guys who are now becoming the top guys and who are out there in the prime of their careers, and you're choosing that you just want to retire when you feel like it, that's a form of ducking. And that being said, you're ducking a lot of people. And a lot of you guys will sit there and say, well, Floyd's at the end of his career. What do you really expect from him? Well, these are names that Floyd should have already had under his belt. Floyd should have already had these guys under his belt. So that's a personal problem. That's a personal problem. If you decided, like most fighters do, to waste the prime of your career by being inactive, and now you're in the twilight of your career and I'm supposed to feel sorry for you because your resume is looking a little suspect to people, that's just not my problem. You should have fought those guys at the time. These names should already be on his resume. Okay? So, so that's just my opinion, okay? I feel like people really shouldn't get worked up over this. But once again, the video I made before was directed towards Flomos. It wasn't really directed towards Floyd. I like watching Floyd in the ring. He's a good fighter. I haven't met my number two pound for pound. Due to inactivity, I might have to reevaluate that. But that just goes to show you that I don't sit there and have any type of bias towards these guys, whether it's dislike or liking them. I really don't care. I just like watching the fights. Okay, and there's a lot of channels out there who, based on their opinions of Floyd or other fighters, have, become fanatical fans. A lot of you channels out there who I thought were credible channels really just turned out to be just some of y'all are Flomos, okay? Some of y'all really are emotionally invested in Floyd Mayweather. That's just the truth, okay? And then on the other side, some people are haters of the guy, so it is what it is. Floyd stirs up a lot of controversy. But, these are my thoughts on it. It's all good debate. That was a good video done by Boxing Beats and Rhymes. Yeah, so that's just my opinion on it. And like I said, I feel like anybody has the right to get on YouTube and say what their opinion is, if you have a channel.